Bo Nickal says that Shara Bullet would not last 90 seconds with him. He said it would not be a tough fight. And me personally, after the Paul Craig performance, I'm not sure how he could lack so much awareness and say something like this. Bo Nickal underwhelmed the UFC 309 Madison Square Garden audience into cheering overrated, or chanting rather, because there wasn't much cheering going on during his performance. And keep in mind, this was in front of President-elect Donald Trump. And in my opinion, American fighters need to bring more dominance to the table, okay? We see these guys coming over from Dagestan, from Chechnya, and they're dominating. Look at Khamzat Chimaev. Look at what he did to Robert Whitaker. I was expecting that kind of performance from Bo Nickal, especially because he talks like this. If you listen to Bo Nickal speak about his opponents, he doesn't really big them up. He kind of puts himself above them, just like he's doing here, saying Shara wouldn't last 90 seconds. However, it is still somehow our fault as the fans who, again, Bo Nickal, and I have videos on this, please check it out. Bo Nickal calls drunk idiots. Well, Bo Nickal, I'm not a drunk idiot, and I saw the fight, and I thought the same thing that the drunk idiots did. If you are a minus 1,200 favorite, you have to go out and perform like a minus 1,200 favorite, okay? And you need to back up the kind of talk that you're saying. Bo Nickal is out here calling out guys like Islam Makhachev, saying he has better wrestling than him. He's out here calling out Khamzat Chimaev. He's out here calling Israel Adesanya. Just go and look, guys. Just go and look at the stories and articles that have been done on Bo Nickal over the course of his time in the UFC, and even trying to get into the UFC on the Contender Series. Bo Nickal has done a lot of talking, but he hasn't really backed it up. In fact, he gets mad at the drunk idiot fans who have these expectations on him. And again, his lack of self-awareness creeps in because he doesn't understand that he is the reason for these high expectations. We have everybody telling us how good Bo Nickal is, and it's not a matter of when, it's a matter of if he becomes champion and things like that. He could make a world team right now in wrestling, blah, blah, blah. What I saw in the cage against Paul Craig was a guy who was hesitant and lacked killer instinct. Okay, there was a moment where he hurt Paul Craig with an overhand shot. It took him like 50 overhands to do it, mind you. He's much more of a Ben Askren than he is a Dan Henderson, so I don't know why he's trying to throw overhands as if he's like that. He's not. He needs to embrace the grappling. But anyways, he finally hurts Paul Craig. Paul Craig backs up against the fence for a last stand, hold his ground kind of a thing, but still clearly hurt. Bo Nickal froze. I want you guys to go watch this. I believe it was in the second round, maybe the third round. I'll find it for you guys and I'll do another video on it, but it was in one of those rounds where he hurt him. Paul Craig was so hurt that he even grabbed his eye. He made it. I thought he maybe broke his orbital bone or something like that. Who knows? But Bo Nickal, he gets up close to him and he stops and he freezes. So much so to the point that Bo Nickal has actually acknowledged that he needs to work on his aggression and he needs to work on picking his shots and not going crazy with looping overhands like, let's say, a Michael Chandler. He didn't say Michael's name. I did. And I get that, but I'm just not seeing that killer inside Bo Nickal that I see inside of Khamzat Chimaev. I'm not seeing the violent intent from Bo Nickal that I see from a Khamzat Chimaev. Or even a Dricus du Plessis, I mean, there's a few guys out there that you could name that have that kind of vicious intent behind their strikes and their takedowns and things of that nature. Shara Bullet could be one of them, We saw that incredible double spinning back fist, elbow, whatever the hell that was. We saw that, and he was able to get the job done there. I think Shara has some of that Bo Nickal doesn't. In my honest assessment of Bo Nickal, I view him as an athlete as opposed to a fighter. You get me? I view him as a well brought up, well trained athlete who is trying to go down the path of being a fighter. And I also see Bo Nickal as a guy who, part of him wants to talk like he's Connor. Some of him wants to talk trash to his opponents, and then there's another side that wants to be liked, and he tries to be respectful and dial it back. For example, against Paul Craig, I noticed this at the press conference. He said, "Did anybody understand that?" And the crowd didn't really react because it's like, dude, the guy has a Scottish accent. What do you want him to do? The crowd didn't really pop for that anti-Scottish accent thing that he was saying. Oh, did anybody understand what he said? Right? Bo Nickal, not even 3 seconds later, goes, "I do like the accent though." Well, which is it, Bo? Are you trashing the guy because you can't understand him, or are you bigging him up because you like the accent? Which is it? It's a guy who's indecisive and doesn't quite know whether or not he wants to embrace the heel, or if he wants to be embraced by the fans as the face. I think personally he'd be better off embracing the heel. I think we saw a glimpse of that last Saturday night at UFC 309 when the crowd was booing him. He came back right back at the crowd and stood 10 toes down on his performance. Now, whether or not he's delusional for his thoughts on his performance, that's a whole nother topic that I have videos on as well. Please check it out. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, whether you agree, disagree, it doesn't matter. Just join the discussion, follow for more, and leave a like if you enjoyed the time spent. Thank you. You are all appreciated.